Hi everyone, I'm Holly, and today I'm making a peppermint striped soap. I have decided to split this batch up into 7 different parts. Sometimes it's just easier to make separate batches for the layers when you really want a nice straight layer. That way you don't have part of your batch kind of accelerating on you while the batch in the mold's not really ready to have soap poured on the top of it. So this just works out really well. What I'll do is I'll make a batch, I'll pour it, and I'll go pack orders or something for, 10 minutes or something, and then I'll come back and do the next layer. So the first thing I'm going to do is add in some coconut milk. Now you may notice that the base oils here are quite amber colored. I am not super happy with my cocoa butter currently. It is a deodorized kind and is still very dark. So unfortunately, I'm having to work around that a little bit. The end result really isn't an issue. It's just kind of dark to start with, and it kind of throws me off when I'm working with colors. Alright, so I'm going to add in the lye solution. It is a little bit labor intensive to do these 7 batches, but whatever. That's what we're doing today. So you can just see how yellow it is even still. So this bottom layer, I do want to add some titanium dioxide. I'm going to add in 1 tablespoon of my mixture and see what it looks like. It is a little difficult to work with this darker cocoa butter because it really throws me off on what the actual color is going to be, the final result. So here we have another odd little situation. This is a mixture of 2 different peppermint fragrances plus peppermint essential oil. Now when I used this similar blend to make my sea salt soaps, it went super duper bright yellow, and I admit I panicked. I panicked quite a bit, but it did come to a nice white. So let's see if it does this again. Yeah, see? Wow. So it's like working with a citrus essential oil, and it is very nerve-wracking, and I'd probably be panicking right now, except for I have been working with this blend so far this year, and so I know it's going to come back, but it's kind of scary right now, isn't it? So I have my mold over here fairly level. I'm having a hard time getting this particular mold level. This whole room, I'm not sure there's a level spot to be had. So I'm going to leave it over here, and I hope you can still see it really well. But that's what I'm going to have to do for this batch. Oop, getting derpy. Now that's not looking a whole lot like a peppermint now, is it? So I like to pour early enough that it will spread all the way out, but it's not too terrible thin, of course. Because you still need time to scrape the container and get it in and allow it to just really smooth out. Now I just kind of need to shimmy this just a little bit just to make sure that it's falling in level, and I've made myself little markers so that I can put it back to where it needs to be. Okay, so layer 1 is done, and once this sets up, I will come back for the next one. Okay, so let's start in with the next layer, which is a red layer. I'm going to add in the coconut milk. And I'm not going to show all the next layers. I'm just going to show these two, but I will show the pouring. Alright, in with the lye solution. And I'm going to go ahead and add in a little bit of my red mixture, just so that it can get a bunch of extra blending in. I'm going to start with 3 teaspoons of my mixture, which is Trial by Fire Mica mixture, pigment I guess, and some olive oil from the batch. Now I don't want this to be pink, but a dark pink to the red is actually fine. I don't tend to care for super intense reds in soap, so if it goes a little pink, I'm okay with it. But don't forget, now we have to do this, so let's see how, hopefully it won't go too orange, but it might here at the beginning. We just have to use our imagination, this soap. Of course, a little bit of orange does intensify a red. So, that's something that has come in really handy, that realization, when I'm like making wax and stuff. I use a lot of red, but then throw in a drop or two of orange, and it really just deepens it. Makes it a little bit more of a Christmas red. It smells so amazing. I love this blend. I've mixed, if I recall correctly, I have it written down, but I've mixed some raw sugar and mint from Wholesale Supplies Plus with some candy cane from Brambleberry. And the reason why I ended up mixing it is because I realized that I had not bought enough of peppermint to get all my soaps done. I do the peppermint sea salt soaps, I try to do a regular peppermint soap, and then I also do cranberry mint, which has a peppermint in it also. This is looking pretty good, so I'm going to go ahead and pour it. So I anticipate it's going to take me a couple hours to make this batch, but we'll see how it goes. So I started it about 4:40 my time on the first layer, and now it is a little after 5:05. So I'm going to use the spatula to help flood it on, even though it does look fine. Let me make sure it's all mixed in well. Looks like it. It's hard to tell sometimes with my poor goggles on. But this just helps to keep the pressure off of that pour from going into that base layer, even though I think it's set up enough. And I usually just let it kind of flood on. So this is how I make my rainbow soap. Easy peasy, just split it up into layers and it just goes on nice and straight. Now this is a really easy fragrance essential oil blend to work with. My rainbow does accelerate a little bit, so it can get a little weird sometimes because it seems thin, and I'm like, well, I don't really want to pour it so thin, but it thickens up so quickly that this part starts making bumps on the top, and it doesn't smooth out super well. So again, I'm just going to kind of shimmy. When I do it thin enough, I don't have to do this too hard. When I pick it up, it leaves a lot of kind of, not mess, but where it comes up on the edge and then back down. And I really don't want to run the popsicle stick along the edge right now, so I'm just trying to be careful about not moving it too much. This is a little, well, this is our largest mold. And when we get 6 loaves out of this one, but we can only slice a very thin bit off of each side. So I have to be a little bit more careful that I'm doing it really nice and cleanly. There we have it, the peppermint striped soap, and I will see you back here for the cut. I am back to cut this beautiful striped peppermint soap, and it just turned out perfect. I'm very pleased with it. The only issue I have with this is that, unfortunately, the cocoa butter did tinge the white portion. It's just a very pale yellow, so I guess we'll just call it all vintage this year. It kind of got me, that cocoa butter, darned it. But, you know, it is what it is, and it's still going to be amazing soap. So, I have not cut soap in a while, so I'm a little out of sorts here. Let's get this. Well, I'll move it down just a little bit so that we can cut a slice off the end. And then, let's see. I feel like I could probably tighten these just a little bit. Should have done that before I got the video started. It's been a while, around 2 to 3 weeks, I don't remember exactly. So I'm definitely pleased. You know what? No, I did cut it right. I thought maybe I cut it upside down. Anyway, I'm very pleased with the stripes. And there's not a straight table, level table around here. So if it's a little off, that's just the way it is. So there we have the first cut of the peppermint stripes. And I think it turned out really cool. It smells amazing. The yellow from, let me see what direction we're going here. The yellow from the fragrance and essential oil blend definitely faded out. That's good. But all of my soaps have a little bit more of a ivory tinge this year because of that cocoa butter being so dark. And I'm assuming they talked about it in the making video. I don't recall what I've said. All of my soap making videos for the holidays are filmed, and so today I'm just having a cutting day, so I apologize if I repeat stuff or don't make sense because I didn't mention it in the video. I just did not go back and rewatch anything. So I'm going to cut 3 loaves of this one for the video today. And what we do for this end piece is off-center it just a little bit again so that we can get some sample pieces. Now during the holidays, I actually make soap specifically for samples, but even a typical 15 bar batch, I'm only getting like 150 samples. So I'll still be sending out quite a bit of samples from the regular batches also. But if you've ever shopped the holiday releases before, I always send out a fun little gift bag of treats and everything, which is something I like to do. So sometimes we keep these for us, and then sometimes we just cut them again so that we have another little sample. So these are the sample sizes that we send out. Just a little gift to everybody for ordering. We're so thankful for each and every order, and it's always fun to get a little something special, isn't it? Okay, this paper towel is kind of driving me a little bit bonkers. Oh boy. I did not mean to fill up that section quite yet so that my loaf could hang over just a little bit. Okay, so let's go ahead and start cutting again. I usually try to move up here, so let's see. I have to move the tray with it. I only have so much space to work with here. It looks so good. I just love this. Isn't this fun? I love it. It was actually my husband's idea for me to do it this way this year, the peppermint soap. I've done it so many different ways, but this is a really fun one. And that's because he saw my bayberry soap for this year, and I did kind of a similar look, and he's like, you know what, it'd be awesome if you added some more layers. Let's see. I think I added 2 more layers than the bayberry soap. Maybe I'll go grab one for you real quick so you can see it. I did not do a video of that one. This is the bayberry soap for this year. I always love this particular soap, and normally it's just white with like red and green jojoba beads in it, but this time I just decided to drop those beads because some people can have irritations to them. So I just did the stripes, and I just thought it turned out so cool. So my husband saw this batch and said, you know what, you should add some more layers and make the peppermint soap. So that's what I did. I think it just turned out super fun. Someday I dream about building my new soap studio in Montana someday, because I want to basically live the rest of my life in Montana. And I'm still planning on making soap at that stage of the game as well. And one of the things I will do is have much wider tables. I feel like I need a little bit more room to spread out. Go ahead and cut this one. Now it looks like I need to move to another tray. I can fit one more on this guy. We'll just see how it goes. We'll just pull a couple of those off. We'll just stack them on the top for a little bit. This big batch is about 78 bars, and I cut my soap a little bit wider than a lot of others do. So I end up, well, we're gonna scoot up. I end up only getting 78 bars. If I was cutting it an inch, I'd get 100. But I like a little thicker bar. I've never have been a fan of 1-inch bars, but that's personal preference, obviously, because there's nothing wrong with it at all, just personal preference. So now I can put these back, and we're going to add this one here so that we can have just a really nice lineup of these beautiful soap bars. Oops. So I'm probably just going to stack them up here for now. I'm going to have to move on to a new tray, and then we'll put out all the samples with them also on that tray. So these batches get 2 trays. That's about the biggest batch I think I can do. It's about 400 ounces of oils. And it just gets to be pretty big, pretty heavy. So I don't see myself going bigger than that. Oh, the soap is so perfect. I love it. I say that every time. I love it. I love it so much. I do. That's just how I operate. Oops. So I'm just going to cut this final. Whoop. I didn't do that one well. I'm probably going to get scolded for that one. Always end up with a little bit of a mess. I have to clean up my cutter and my table and everything in between the batches. We'll go this way. So here we have the peppermint stripe soap. Isn't that so pretty? Oh my goodness. Alright guys, thank you for watching and I'll catch you in the next one. I'll talk to you later. Bye.